This episode of Tekzilla is brought to you by Carbonite. Time to get our HD Nation on. Look, we love Samsung for a number of reasons. Best television of 2011, Samsung 8000.
One of the best designs ever with that almost borderless design, frameless that gets you more screen in a smaller space.
We should also point out, full disclosure, Samsung has been an advertiser on the show in the past. We thank them for supporting us for that.
Totally.
We should also point out the ES-8000 you have had in for testing for a couple days is the replacement to the D8000, or one of our most popular televisions from last year. How did it fare?
Pretty darn good, actually. You were going to find that its performance overall is exceeding what happened last year. However, some of the critical viewers out there, you're going to find that this set's main weakness will be probably a deal breaker. Basic specs: 46 inches, 55 inches, and 60-inch screen sizes, 1080p resolution, 3D capable. Prices online will be about $2,300, $2,900, or $3,200 respectively if you shop right now. Note that little bump along the top edge of the screen. We've talked about this before at CES. That's essentially what where the remote control sensor lives, along with a camera and an array microphone, which provides your not only motion control, you can use your hands to control the screen action, but your
really
voice.
Because you wave to get its attention.
Yeah.
And then you can like move the cursor around the screen, and you squeeze screen, and you squeeze to actually pick something.
Totally.
And then of course it's like, hi TV.
And then you can talk to the TV as well.
And it actually works.
And it pops up a nice bar along the bottom to give you clues as to what controls are available. The remote, though, is actually quite interesting. It's a brand new smart touch remote, a touch-sensitive pad, basically, on the surface of that. It comes with a standard remote as well. The nice thing about the new remote is that it actually incorporates a microphone in the top of it as well. So that, yes, the TV has a mic built in, but if you're too far away from it or the room's too noisy, you have that built-in mic on the top of the remote right there to make it easy to communicate with the TV if you have that in hand.
It just takes a little bit to get used to this.
It does.
If you actually get the fully buttoned control in here, but you also have the ability to, you kind of get the menuing.
It took me a couple of minutes to get used to it. And the other thing too, it goes to sleep really quick, so you usually have to click it once to get it to wake back up. But the cool thing with that is that it's a universal remote that comes with an IR blaster as well that's linked via Bluetooth to the TV set. So one nice additional feature this incorporates is the fact that you can have all your equipment hidden away somewhere with that Bluetooth IR blaster controlling everything, and then you can go into the TV and set up your devices just like you would with many universal remotes and control the stuff wirelessly, not line of sight, which is pretty nice, actually.
Yeah, because I'm actually paying like $50 right now for a gadget that does that in my living room.
And in our case, we tried it out with a Panasonic Blu-ray player, with a Samsung TV, with the consumer electronic control features. It worked pretty darn well, enabling all the basic functionality that we'd expect. Inside of this TV, the ES-8000, it's packed with Samsung's latest and greatest technologies. A dual-core CPU, support for a Bluetooth mouse and keyboard, a soft access point, we'll talk a little bit about that, apps, multimedia file support, terrific multimedia file support, Skype's built in, apps, and something on the back called an expansion port, which will be the first Samsung TV to feature that. So they're looking at down the road, if some new features or performance comes out that can be added to this TV down the road, you'll be able to peel off a sticker, plug in a module, and have the features of next year's model in your current model. That's the goal anyway.
That's the dream. Whether or not that actually ships, or how long it's available for, or when it comes out, or how much it costs, you may look at it and be like, I'd rather buy a set-top box or a home theater PC.
There you go. Benchmark-wise, this is one of Samsung's best TVs, so if you take a look at the results from our CalMan benchmark results, this is the grayscale response right out of the box with the TV's movie mode. And if you pay attention to this particular graph, the lines are fairly straight, and green is below red and blue, which is important, so that green's not the main dominant one. But there's some variance across that. After calibration, though, I was able to get these three colors tracking just right. So mixing red, blue, and green gets you white. Whoops, excuse that little bump right there. But this is a very flat response. The errors were well below. 3 is considered, on this error measurement right here, 3 is considered what's noticeable by humans. Under 0.5 is doing pretty well across the board. So anyway, excellent there. Another thing is the TV's video processing. When I ran several tests through this, it proved excellent. I was comparing the technology that Samsung uses in their TVs with expensive standalone video processors. Even those oddball cadence tests in the Spears and Munsell Blu-ray benchmark passed with flying colors. And even some of the most challenging ways of processing standard definition into an acceptable HD picture, this TV was doing it better than some of the most expensive products I've looked at. So whatever Samsung's doing as far as their chipsets for video processing, it's competing now with some of the best out there, and that's built into the TV. Whether or not that works with your analog sources, I did not test that, but with my digital sources, that was pretty darn straight up.
You mentioned a flaw earlier.
Yes, dark uniformity. If you're watching content like I'm showing right now, a dark scene where you can see the edges of the picture, and if you're sitting in a dark room in particular, you're going to see bright spots in the corners. Uniformity is really the problem. Little bright spots on the screen that cannot be corrected. Cloudiness, some people refer it to. And if you're looking for a TV that does that local dimming, where you're able to actually dim the backlight, the LEDs behind specific spots on the screen to make black even darker, they've gotten rid of that technology with this set. I guess they're figuring that the set can do a good enough contrast to where you don't need to be doing that dynamic stuff. That can cause artifacts. In particular, if you have a bright object on a dark background, you can get a glow on it, a halo effect that can be annoying to some. One thing though I'm missing that did enable was something called Cinema Black. So when I'm watching my letterbox movies, it was able to totally turn off the black bars, at least the backlight system behind the black bars, for just a really good looking effect, I thought. You know, it seemed kind of odd considering one of the demonstrations that Samsung did at CES was an advanced backlighting system that showed off some of those cool features. Perhaps the new 9000, 10000 model coming up this summer will incorporate that. The voice recognition and voice control, overall, that was a really usable way of using it worked, and it was convenient.
It works up to a point. It's actually, as someone who has had epic fail after epic fail after epic fail with voice-controlled devices, to be like, hi TV, power on, and it powers on. Or hi TV, smart hub. Here's the thing though, noisy environment like a really loud AC unit can create problems with this, and there's a lot of applications where the voice control or the gesture control has not been integrated, right? So, you know, it's cool. If you're sitting in front of the camera and you have an application that's ready, you can wave at the television, you can point and click on things, but I can launch Netflix, but once Netflix is launched, I got to go pick up the remote to actually control it.
Totally.
I would expect that stuff to be integrated, but it's going to take time and firmware updates to do it.
And even in the Samsung apps menu, they give little icons to indicate which apps have added those gesture or voice control options yet, and it is very few of them. But the bottom line really is that the ES-8000 series HDTV from Samsung, it's the most techno-packed television I've seen to date. It's easy to see how premium TVs in the future are going to include enough compute power and software to provide an increasingly complete web surfing experience from the couch. This has a nice web browser, and with Bluetooth mouse and keyboard support, I found it quite good. Critical viewers, though, people who appreciate uniform black levels, consistent picture performance at wide viewing angles, well, this TV's not for you. You're already checking out Samsung's new E-8000 plasma that gives you that kind of performance in a darkroom environment. But, one quick thing too, that soft AP thing I talked about, this TV has an ability to, you plug your broadband connection into it. It will then, in software, create an access point for you to share throughout the house. More added value that they were able to do in software that I thought was pretty neat. And yet again, cool stuff. And hey, it's time to thank one of our sponsors.
Carbonite, people, it protects your pictures, your files from a computer crash, a fire, or theft. If you accidentally delete one, because it automatically, continually backs up your files, keeps them securely off-site, safe. Somewhere where your stuff isn't if it's getting stolen or beat up. You never have to remember to back up again. It's amazing whether you got one or two computers at home or a whole bunch of computers at your small business. Carbonite is the better backup plan. Over 1 million customers trust Carbonite to protect their home and small business computer files with plans starting at just $59 a year. How much? Your business records, your thesis, the kids' homework, the pictures of grandma that you scanned into the computer. How much are those worth to you? Look, you really need to try out Carbonite. And you can start a free trial at carbonite.com. If you dump in the offer code Tekzilla, Tekzilla, you'll get 2 bonus months if you decide to buy. That's carbonite.com, and the offer code for 2 bonus months, Tekzilla. Keep your data safe, people. Back it up on Carbonite.